Welcome everyone, today we have a very special Druid guide for Diablo 4 Season 1. Now looking behind me, this is a 100 tier Nightmare Dungeon for my Druid. And you might see something similar, something different about this Druid. So what I want to do before I show you the entire replay is, I want to quickly show you my items. We are not using any unique items. We're using all my legendary items for the Druid. So this is the Druid build without any unique items. And yes guys, you can use the Staff of the Chrome, which is a two-hand staff for this bulwark build. But I have made it work without the staff, and we can clear tier 100 and level 95. I could have done this at level 90 if I knew about this one. So what happened was, I've been farming for my unique staff for the past few days. And because I wasn't getting it, eventually I was like, stuff it, I'm gonna make a build without the staff. And just to show you guys, in the past 1 to 2 days, I farmed this many unique items, and I was getting a lot more, and I started to sell them and also salvage them. So this is just a small glimpse of how much I farmed. I still haven't got my stuff. But without the stuff guys, we can still make the build work. So here what you're going to see is, this is the power of the one-hand weapon and also off-hand weapon Druid, which can still be very powerful for the bulwark build. I have also made additional variations and also adjustments to the skills and also affixes of the gears, and also changes to the Paragon. So even if you guys are using a two-handed staff for the Druid, this can still help you for the later game as I theorycraft and also show you guys some better stats in the Paragons. And over here, let's go through a highlight of me fighting the boss. And this is a tier 100 boss. And let's see what happened. This is pretty fun, right? So let me show you guys the highlight again over here. I'll try to pause at the right time to show you the damage. So yeah, this build works without the Staff of Chrome. And here I did about 121 million damage without any unique items for the Druid. I'm not even level 100, so my Paragon points are not perked out. So just to show you guys what I can be, getting with my Paragons. Once I get to level 100, I can easily be getting my, plus critical strike damage, plus damage, plus damage. There's a lot of ways of getting more damage with this build once I get to this level. But I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm already very strong with this Druid build. Now if you guys want a full build, make sure you come over to the links below for my Mobilityx build guide, and you can see that I have picked everything for you guys, including the legendary effects and also my choice of gems for the Malignant Heart. The skill trees are also perked out and also together with my Paragon board. I do believe that Paragon board right now is very good for my build, and there's a lot of bonus to this. So let me briefly show you guys the Paragon board. I'm getting all the double bonuses with my rare glyphs, and this is quite important because if you can get all those bonuses, then you're getting more effect with your board. And notice that the way I position my board, the final 2 glyphs, I don't need a bonus because they're very minimal. But everything else guys, we're getting all the bonus over here, and I'll show you guys how to do this. So coming over to my character over here. So the biggest highlight for this build is that this is a Druid build that does not require you to farm any of the unique items. We have 0 unique items for this Druid. So right away you can see for my one-hand weapon and also my off-hand, those are going to be the highlight because I do get 2 additional legendary effects because of this. I'm not using the unique two-handed staff. And this can provide me with some really good damage stats and also legendary effect for more earth damage. Together with my offhand, which gives me over 20% cooldown reduction, lucky hit chance, critical chance, and also more damage reduction, which is very powerful. So what I'll do now is, let's briefly go through the legendary choices and also the FX choice for the gears. For the one-hand weapon, I'm going with the Poison Creeper one, which allows me to cast lines that allow around me for free earth spells, and also deal about 20% more damage with earth spells. For the one-handed weapon, I'm looking for willpower, vulnerability, critical damage, and also more critical damage with earth spells. You don't have to have a very high item power weapon because most of your build's damage is coming from bulwark, which is not scales towards your damage, but rather your barrier generation and also your base life, and also the monster's life, which we'll talk about. So even though I'm looking at an 813 weapon, you can easily use a 750, 760 weapon with the correct stat. Now this is also the similar case for my offhand. You don't need a high item level weapon because we're not scaling with damage per second. Here I'm looking for lucky hit chance, critical chance, and also cooldown reduction. Other than that, you can deal more damage with barrier generation, you can take less damage with damage reduction to poison enemies or fortify enemies. And finally, you can also go with additional attack speed for the offhand. Now over here, I have decided to take the legendary effect that turns my werewolf skills into my storm spells, which is quite important to trigger the Nature's Fury. So here I'm using my Claw, which is a werewolf spell. this will also become a storm spell. And together, this allows me to trigger my Nature's Fury, which allows the lowering cooldowns with my legendary effects by 8 seconds. So this is a very powerful combo for this build without the legendary. Now once we get over to the skill trees, I'll briefly talk about the Storm Strike, because here the Storm Strike is a natural storm spell, but it does not have the additional attack speed and also additional double hit chance compared to the Claw. You do get the 15% damage reduction though. But as you're gonna see in my replays for tier 100, we actually have a lot of that, so that's okay. Now for my rest of the gear choices, they're quite straightforward. So this is a Bulwark Druid in nature, and as for my helmet, I'm going with Barrier Generation, Basic Attack Speed, Cooldown Reduction, and also Total Armor. You can go with Maximum Life over the Basic Attack Speed if you want to be a little tankier. As for the chest, I'm going with as many damage reduction as I can, or I can go for Maximum Armor, and this is also really good. Now here I'm not going through the legendary effects, because if you want to see those will be in the links in the build, and they're very straightforward. I didn't make too many variation for those ones. As for the gloves, we're going with critical chance, attack speed, critical damage with earth spells, and also lucky hit. You do not need a plus skill rank for these gloves. Now coming over to the pants, we're going with damage reduction to injured, damage reduction while fortified, close, or even poisoned. And finally, you also want total armor. So there are 5 skills or 5 effects you can look for, and sometimes you can favor damage reduction to poison over damage while fortified. Now over here, I also went for the implicit. Here, while injured, I also gain bonus movement speed while using a potion. I don't really need a barrier because we're getting all the barriers, right? So this particular pants is also a mobility pants. Now for my boots, I'm going with armor percentage while in the werewolf form, and also damage reduction while injured. Together with bonus movement speed, we're actually very speedy. Now as for my amulet, I'm going with damage reduction while injured and also envenom plus 3. Together with close damage reduction, it's a pretty decent amulet with 3 out of 4. I don't really need the skill cooldown reduction for the storm spells. Here I also have a few other amulets I can go into, but I'm still deciding which I wanted to use. So at the moment, only with 3 of the correct effects is enough for my amulet. I'm also going with Nature's Fury, reduce my cooldowns by 8 seconds. Now finally for my rings, I'm going with Lucky Hit Chance. This is gonna be a very important stat for the build. So both of my rings have some Lucky Hit Chance, with 6.9 over here and also 7.2 over here. Other than that, I'm rerolling on the critical chance. Together with barrier generation and also critical strike damage, those rings provides me with a lot of utility, damage, and also procs to lucky hit, which is very important. Now if we come back over to the build over here, you can see for my spirit bombs, we're going with the standard reduction from elites, we're going with attack speed, and here we're going with the critical strike have a chance of lowering the cooldowns of the companions, resetting it, and also providing us with additional fortified. Now finally over here, we also have natural spells have a chance of lowering the cooldowns of the ultimate. I do think in the later part of the replay, as I was showing my spirit bombs, there's a misclick over here, so be aware guys, I am picking for the lower cooldowns to my ultimate. You don't really need the critical strike for additional bonus life regen, because we get a lot of that from potions. Now as for my gems, for the weapons, we're going with bonus damage to vulnerable enemies. For the armor, we're going with barrier generation. It's very important to have at least 50 or 60% barrier generation, because then you can be one-shotting the boss with your barrier combinations. Now as for my Malignant Heart gems, I'm going with casting ultimate pulls enemies together. This is very important to do tremendous damage combined with a Barber gem. Now there is one thing I want to highlight with a Barber gem, and this is that you want to have a Barber gem with lower than 2.5 second cooldown. Because the lower, the second of the damage absorption, the more likely you're going to have your exploit gem, which allows a 3-second vulnerability to come into effect. You want to be lower than 3 seconds for sure, and anything below 2.5 is really good. So you can get 2 seconds, that will be the best. Because this way you can always enjoy your vulnerability on the first poke, and this is quite important to one-shot everything. Now the final gem we have is going to be the increased critical damage while lowering the non-critical damage. And this is a pretty nice gem. If you can find a level 5 gem for this one guys, you can easily get this one to 80% plus. So this is a really nice gem to be looking for a vicious enemy to go for level 5 gem. Now briefly going through my skills over here, you can see that I'm not going for Storm Strike. Well, what I'm missing if I don't go for Storm Strike. So this is the compensation for not having a unique weapon. So here what I'm getting is, I am getting my Claw, which is still the standard one. So without the Storm Strike, we're losing the 15% damage reduction. We also lose the chance to immobilize, which is not a big deal, because we guarantee to immobilize all the time with my Poison Creeper. And finally, I'm losing the chance of vulnerability. So to make up for this one, we're getting more procs of vulnerability over here with additional proc rate. Now everything else for this particular skill tree is very straightforward. You get the critical chance, you get damage reduction, you get 5 points into Earthen Bulwark. So most of the parts are pretty straightforward. We don't have to go through too much. We're also going with level 3 or level 6 with Envenom with my amulet. Now as I mentioned earlier, because we're now going with Storm Strike, we actually save 3 points. So to allocate those points, I actually have the spare points into the Storm spells provide us with more vulnerability for 3 seconds. And because as you guys gonna see, we have so much lucky hit chance, these procs very often. Now for the rest of the skills, they're pretty straightforward. Because I'm not going with Catechism, I'm actually going with Petrify, which allows us to do a lot more critical strike damage against the monsters and also against the boss. Finally, because we save 1 point not going for Catechism, we can also go with a bit of bonus to Fortify. Now if you guys are planning to follow my build, which also works once you get the two-handed staff. So I think at the moment I'm pretty good, but once I get the two-handed staff, I'll compare the difference. So what you're going to see with my Paragon board is quite important, guys, to follow the number of the Paragon board. The 1, the 2, the 3, and also the 4. If you follow the Paragon board correctly, what you're going to see is, you're going to see that for most of my rare nodes, I'm getting double the effect. This is very important because the other Paragon boards I'm following, those boards are not placed correctly. It is very important to go with the order of 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. So this way, you might not be getting the double effects on the later nodes. But this particular pathing actually guarantees us to get all the particular nodes at the start of the board with double bonus. This is very important to get most of your stats and also damage and also defense. Now because currently I'm only level 95, I have perked out the 100 level board for you guys with some spare points. You can see that the only one I'm missing is over here to get more critical strike damage. Because I was pushing for tier 100, I didn't need that much damage. But later on guys, if you are following my board, you can see I'll be perking over here for more critical strike damage. Now one thing I do want to highlight with my glyphs. I'm currently testing more glyphs, and I do think they may be better upgrades and also replacement for the current glyphs, which I'll update with you guys once I test them. So I'm currently using Exploit glyph together with the Spirit glyph to provide us with more critical damage. After that, we're getting Untaunted with Fortify damage and also damage reduction. Now we're also getting the Protector glyph for additional barrier reduction damage and also Territorial for the close damage and also damage reduction. Now finally, I'm using Fang and Claw at the moment, which provides me with a little bit bonus over here, as you guys can see. What I'll be testing is, I'll be testing putting on the Werewolf glyph over here, which provides me with more damage. Now one of the reasons I haven't put this on is, once I put this on, I'm lacking a bit of intelligence. So once I get to level higher, and also I get more, more intelligence, I'll be testing both of those glyphs to see how much damage we can deal and which one's better. Now before we go over to the skill rotations, I really want to show you guys my stats over here. So the cooldown reduction is 26%. A majority of this one is coming from, the offhand. If you don't have the offhand guys, you do want a bit of cooldown reduction, but this is not the biggest factor. I do feel the bigger factor for this build is going to be lucky hit chance. I'm getting lucky hit from my gloves and also my rings, together with my offhand. You could also get lucky hit chance of the lucky hit while having a barrier on the helmet, and also more lucky hit chance on your amulet. So here, let me show you one of the amulet which has something like this. So you can see you can also get lucky hit chance on the amulet. So now coming back to my replays. So this is the skill rotation and also the highlight for lucky hit. What I want to highlight with you guys is look at the cooldowns of my bulwark and also most of my other spells. As I normal attack enemies, these cooldowns will get reduced very quickly. And for the majority of the replays, you can see every 2 to 3 seconds as I normal attack, I get the lower cooldown reduction for my barriers. And this is incredibly defensive and also offensive, because we deal the most damage while we have our Earthen Bulwark barriers resetted. So having the high lucky hit is very important for this build. Now other than that, what you want to do is, you want to be casting skills in rotation as you reset your cooldowns of your Poison Creeper. Now casting Poison Creeper before the Earthen Bulwark gives you a lot more damage towards poison enemies, and also you'll be getting more critical damage chance. Now for my first 3 spells, I'm spamming them with my right click, because those spells will be resetting each other for the earth spells and also for the the natural spells. Now finally, the use of the ultimate is very strategic. I'll be doing a lot of damage and also pulls enemies together. So it is very important to be the center of the fight, then you cast your ultimate, and then time yourself correctly with 1 Earthen Bulwark, and this take care of all the monsters. Together with a Barber Gem, with a lower cooldowns, of the less than 3 second cooldown Barber Gem, you are doing so much more damage. And this is a combination that is very powerful. Because we're using a one-handed weapon, this means we have better attack speed and also more stats from the offhand. Now finally, as for the boss fight, you want to be having a barrier before you start the boss, and casting poison onto enemies is not bad as well. And having 1 ultimate skill ready for the boss is very important, because you also get bonus damage while hitting the boss with this particular skill. And there we go guys, we can one-shot the boss without using any uniques for the Druid. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4. Now over here, what I'll do is I'll provide you guys with the several replays. Those are placed together, so make sure you use the timestamps to look at the replays. The first part of the replays is a highlight of this build in tier 100 when I was first testing it. The second part of the replay will show you guys my stats, my gears, and also my carrying effects and also my status. Now do keep in mind guys, during the recording of this replay, I wanted to be a little tankier, so I went for the life regen, which is not a big deal. What you want to do is, you still want the cooldown reduction to your ultimate, so this is a little variation for the future build. And you can see over here, I have changed this one to the natural spells reduce my ultimate cooldowns by 2 seconds. Now on the final part of the replay, you get to see me playing the entire tier 100 dungeon. Now you do see me dying a few times from the earth effects and also from the one-shotting from the ranged monsters, which is okay because I didn't pick the best dungeon.
dead walk inside.
I must wait. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. do that here. I must wait a moment. I'm not ready yet. I must wait a moment. I must wait a moment. I must wait a moment. I'm not ready yet. I must wait a moment. I must wait a moment. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I must wait a moment. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I must wait a moment.
Now before you go, and if you guys didn't know, we have a new YouTube channel. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and check out the behind the scenes and also fun clips and also more stories about us. And then you get to know me a little more personally instead of just reading the news and also the games, right? So I want to share a little bit more with you guys. So make sure you check this channel out if you're interested about Matt and also Uni. She's really funny too, and she's really shy. So I want to give her a surprise and do a shout out for the new channel to get some subscribers. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time.